Hi, I think this is going now. Hi, I'm Jane Frizzell. This is the Steinbrecht sessions every Tuesday for winter 2025 and probably into spring because I'm going line upon line, precept upon precept through the section of Gymnasium where he spells out ride your horse forward and set him straight, known as the two golden rules of riding. These days, rarely heeded but desperately needed. Oh, I made a poem. Okay, so listen, I didn't need to make a poem. I'm not that weird. We are at the bottom of page 73. He's just talked about the rider shouldn't try to do that with his hands. Everyone knows that. And everyone is, oh, the hands are so awful. I don't use my hands. My reins are looped. But really, that isn't it. That's not what he's saying. Well, he is saying, he says you can't use your hands. And the dilettantes say, oh, you must not use your hands. And da, 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 da. But they don't stimulate the hindquarters properly. So they fail to cause the hindquarters to follow the forehand correctly by moving underneath the load and advancing it. So even if you have the most delicate, I call them Mr. Burns hands. Remember Mr. Burns, the boss from the Simpsons, Homer Simpson's boss, who had the most creepy, disgusting, skinny little, weak-looking fingers. All these people talking about the hands to me, about how they have such sensitive, gentle hands. That's all I see. I see Mr. Burns's hands. Because it's still not a correctly formed fist along the straight line, elbow to bit, directing the propulsion through the horse's body and out the front of him through his loose jaw. And that isn't, it's not done by fingers. The dead men would have named the aid finger or wrist, but they didn't. They named it hand for a reason. It's the hand. The aid is the hand. It's not. Oh my God. Oh, it just creeps me out. It creeps me out. It's like a spider climbing on you. I don't take a hard hold of my horse. My fist is incredibly soft and pliable, but it's a hollow fist. It's a hand. Also, so I'm having to lift it up here for you guys to see it, but you can't correctly form. Let me see if I can get this. You can't correctly form a hollow fist if the fist is above or below the elbow. The elbow is the heaviest part of the arm. Let's see the square. Oops, I'm just going to knock my chair over here. You can't demonstrate a correct fist unless it's coming out of the elbow properly. So I can't really do it. It's a hollow fist. First set of knuckles forms a right angle. I'll put a picture up later, or you can. I'll put a link in the description. I don't think I can put cards on live streams, but if I can, I will. I'll see if I can learn how to do that. Okay, now this goes here. We're back to the fakery of the hands. Everyone is going to agree with this paragraph, but they're not doing what it really is saying to do, which is stimulate the hindquarters to follow the forehand correctly by deliberately, from the horse's own desire, stepping underneath the load to advance it. Okay, And then, so the hand, or this genius use of the hand, is not elevating the forehand. The elevation of the forehand then comes automatically the more the hindquarters are lowered and bent by weight bearing. And it is the withers, not the pull. Okay, I'm going to go to the next paragraph. This rule is often disregarded, particularly by riders who, because their body is too stiff, have dead legs. It's a horrible image, dead legs, and therefore always tend to overcome this drawback by increased activity of their hands. I will sometimes see, well, most of my riders now are not doing any of this terrible, undisciplined crap that my colleagues have allowed to go on. Not really. My actual colleagues would not allow it to go on, but the horse world has allowed people to get so off the mark with this. Anyway, and I know the feeling because I've made the mistake myself. When riders will often, especially if they have a little bit of feel, they will hunt around for propulsion. They'll hunt for the giddy up with their hands. What they really need to do is activate the hindquarters. Get that going in through the hand to the bit. And it doesn't feel like that doesn't feel like what you should do. That's why instruction is necessary. Riders have to be taught and convinced and have their seat be trained early in their career so that the first instinct is get those hindquarters going where I want them. Okay. He's back to now these stiff riders with dead legs. Since under such riders, the insufficiently stimulated hindquarters do not consciously deliberately step far enough underneath the load to truly bend those big joints. The activity of their hands is unsuccessful. They merely interfere with the horse's movement and deprive themselves of the only means for attaining the desired goal. Now, this is really, really key. I want you guys to zero in on this. Since under such riders, the insufficiently stimulated hind legs do not consciously or deliberately step far enough underneath the load to be truly, quote, bent or engaged, the activity of the hands is unsuccessful. That sentence, underline it and highlight, and maybe even make a note separate, because this is really important. He is giving a gift here. When the hind legs do step consciously and deliberately far enough underneath the load to truly engage those gigantic joints by weight, then the activity of the hands is successful. I think that's a huge, huge $1 million riding lesson right there. So you do it wrong and it won't work, but you do it right. And that feeling that you knew in your rider's heart you could have in your hand will be. And if the hindquarters are coming forward diligently, continually, then if I just talk to them, If I just spin the ring of my snaffle, it goes through. It all starts to work. And I want to remind everyone that the masters who wrote down the education of the mouth, especially Phyllis's 2 chapters on that, and Baudot to an extent too. And it's in Fort Riley, section 41A and B. They all continually repeat and warn, I think they use italics even sometimes, that you cannot touch this. Do not touch the mouth unless they're already going. And that's what he's saying too. The rein actions work when the horse is going. You cannot get a horse going with them. I think that's good. I think that's a huge idea for you guys to sit on this week.